Hi, I'm James, part of the Bristol active campaign against the occupation and ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians in their own land. And this is part of a demo on the 11th of May at 12 noon at College Green in Bristol. As you can see, this is a great giant question mark. From 218, where we're currently at, right back as far as 1947. As we pan down these years, we'll take one year in particular, 214. On 214, Gaza was attacked by the might of the Israeli land, sea and air armies. The consequence of that was 2,400 Palestinians were murdered. These are some of the children and young men that were murdered. These are paintings that were painted by a local artist from Bath, and these are her words as to why she painted these. This is only a fraction of the 2,400 people that were killed. Many of these in their homes. At the same time, there was probably 10,000 or so homes that were completely obliterated. This was the biggest raid that we've seen. It's almost parallel to what the London Blitz had, from the Nazis in World War II. 47 is when it started. This is when war was declared upon the Palestinians, by a few groups of highly trained terrorists, I would call them, posing as the Irgun and Haganah military service. But in reality, there's 20,000 of these were trained by the British government. And some of these were ex-servicemen. And as we can see, at that period of time, maybe 520 villages were destroyed. In some cases, the whole villages were murdered in cold blood, unarmed. And that sent a message right through the whole of Palestine, causing nearly 1 million people to flee for their lives. As we go back in the years, as we go forward in the years, there's not one year that hasn't been a tragedy for the Palestinians. Whether it's cold-blooded murder, taking of more land, 67 they lost the West Bank, Gaza and Jerusalem, and so it goes on. There's not a period in all of this time when there isn't a tragedy for the Palestinians. And for what? Loss of freedom, child prisoners, house demolitions, settlement building, inability to travel anywhere. Remember, Palestine was a vibrant place before it was attacked. It was a place, a centre of learning for the Palestinian people. They had links across the Middle East. They could go by train to Egypt, to Jordan, to Damascus, and onwards. They had complete control of their lives, their destinies, and that was taken away from them. And the tragedy is, it's still continuing. In many ways, it's worse now than it ever was, because they know now that the governments that should know better are not helping. The UN, that's declared many hundreds of acts against the Israelis that have been been acted on for the Palestinians, and yet this still goes on. 218, 35 demonstrators have been shot in cold blood on the Gaza border, where Israel say there are no borders, but in reality it's a military occupied area, and all they were doing was demonstrating for the right of return. In the West Bank, supposed to again be a Palestinian territory, young Ahed Tamimi, she was 16 at the time, now 17, was arrested, taken from her bed, as was her mother and her brother, younger brother, who had been shot. This is in the West Bank. This is a Palestinian territory. And yet, the Israeli forces at will can just do what they want. Take a house, take the land, build a settlement.